NBA junkies, the media, and casual fans alike all love to talk about the biggest and best NBA players. The big storylines and the huge stat lines grab attention like nothing else. But there are 510 players in the NBA, and many great players slip through the radar and don't get the spotlight that they deserve. This video is here to shine a light on 6 of the most underrated players in the NBA. They are in no particular order, and it is not a definitive list. There might still be some players that are more underrated than these 6 guys. If you're thinking of a player who is more underrated, leave them in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. First up is Darren Collison for the Indiana Pacers. Collison has been in the league for 9 seasons now, and has played for New Orleans, Dallas, the Clippers, Sacramento, and is now in his second stint for Indiana. He's always been viewed as a solid player by most teams around the league and was a fantastic backup point guard for the Clippers in the 2013-2014 NBA season. This is probably the role Collison is best suited for on a top-level contending team, but he's been amazing to start the season for the Indiana Pacers this year. Spending 9 years as an NBA point guard leaves a lot of players frustrated that they aren't as offensively gifted as they believed, and can result in them being left by the wayside, especially if you're on the shorter side like Collison. But Darren has adjusted fantastically to the NBA and has realised the value he can add to a team by setting his teammates up, running the offense to perfection for a coach, getting to the rim, and knocking down open threes. Collison does all of these things and was rewarded when the Pacers signed him to a 2-year, $20 million deal this offseason. This is a great deal for both parties as it doesn't commit too much salary long term for the Pacers, but allows Collison to get rewarded for the super solid player he has turned into. And he is thriving on this team, distributing the ball to Thaddeus Young, Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, and when he returns, Miles Turner as well. He is averaging career highs in assists and has a fantastic assist-to-turnover ratio of 4.4. This Pacers team is shocking many with their young talent, so make sure you tune in and check out a game when you get the chance. Next up is Tobias Harris for the Detroit Pistons. Someone who feels like they've been in the league forever, but is only 25 and just entering the prime of his basketball career. And you can tell when you watch him on the court. Everything looks smoother and more comfortable, and he's averaging career lows in turnovers and career highs in points per game and three-point percentage. Harris seems to be blossoming as he enters his prime, and is featured more predominantly on a much more balanced and organised Pistons team. With Markieff Morris gone and Stanley Johnson replacing him in the starting lineup, all of the wing isolation creation largely falls to Harris, both in the post and from the perimeter. Whilst Morris is and was a good player, having 2 guys in very similar roles affected Harris more than we thought it did. Harris is a fantastic shooter, good mid-range player, and has progressed to the point where he can attack teams off of the dribble or in the post. This Pistons team has good balance with Jackson, Bradley, Harris, and Tolliver all providing maximum spacing around Drummond. On top of this, having Bradley and Tolliver commit to defense and less creation on offense allows everyone to have strong, clear roles on the offensive end. It is doing wonders for the Pistons and Harris, who is extremely underrated around the NBA, and the Pistons look set to make a run for the playoffs this year. Next up is another sniper from the wing, Robert Covington for the Philadelphia 76ers. MDJ did a fantastic video on Robert Covington outlining why he is the perfect 3-and-D player, and I'll put a link in the description to that video so you can check it out if you haven't seen it already. But despite this video, I think around the league and its fans, Covington is still underrated. He is not a flashy player and fills his role to perfection instead, and is draining threes at 49.2% so far this season. He is also one of the most consistent, versatile, and solid defenders, and has shown over his career that he can lock down multiple positions on the defensive end. Covington is the perfect player to have on this 76ers team, as he knows his role and allows Embiid and Simmons to go to work, whilst he defends and knocks down big shots for a team that desperately needs the spacing. And then there is another fantastic shooter, but this time from the shooting guard position, Evan Fournier, who I think is incredibly underrated and an unknown player around the NBA. He has helped the Orlando Magic come out to a strong start this season as he shoots over 50% from the field and from three-point land, all while scoring 21.9 points per game. Now, Evan Fournier definitely is not a great defender, and this is probably part of the reason as to why he doesn't get as much recognition around the league. But his offensive game is incredibly smooth, and he has become more and more comfortable in the league, and with his scoring the longer he has spent in the NBA. He was signed to a large 5-year, $85 million contract by the Magic, and it looks to be well worth it, as it ensures that the Magic will have Fournier for the entirety of his prime of his basketball career. Fournier has also gotten better every single year, and has increased his points and assists per game in each season that he has played. If this continues for just one more season, Fournier could have a few seasons at around 24 to 25 points per game. I think it is more realistic that he continues to hover around the 22 mark, but Orlando will love having Evan to space the floor for Gordon and Vucevic. Not only has his shooting improved, but his handle and attacking the basket off of the dribble has looked considerably improved this season. This will help keep his scoring at this high level and make him much more of a versatile threat than someone to simply run off screens. And finally, we're going to move from guards and wing players to the sole big man on our underrated players list, Clint Capela. The 6'10" center from Switzerland is only 23 years old and looks incredibly agile and comfortable for the Houston Rockets this season. Capela has worked to turn into the prototypical modern NBA center for a pick and roll spread offense. The Rockets use him to screen for Harden and will do the same for Chris Paul when he returns. Capela then dives to the rim for a lob threat, allowing Harden or Paul to drive to the basket or throw a lob. This action is impossible to guard without helping off of one player, and there are games when Harden will throw 3 or 4 lobs to Capela and get 3 or 4 looks himself at the rim. Doing this creates the open looks for Houston's three-point snipers in Ryan Anderson, Eric Gordon, and Trevor Ariza, and is one of the main driving forces behind this incredibly productive offense. But on the other end, Capela is also playing great defense, covering pick and rolls well, and helping to protect the rim as well. He's also absolutely eating up the rebounds, as he averages 11 rebounds a game to go along with his 13 points on 69% shooting. Houston are going to have to pay Capela this offseason, but it'll be well worth it, as he and Harden will form a deadly pick and roll duo for years to come. And lastly, we have the biggest name on this list, but someone who I think is left out of discussions he deserves to be in, such as the best point guard in the East and players who can lead their teams to the playoffs. That man is Kemba Walker, the point guard out of Connecticut, who gave us one of the best March Madness runs ever and earned himself the nickname Cardiac Kemba. I think one of the reasons that Kemba Walker has become so underrated is due to his initial challenges and struggles in the NBA. He played for the worst team of all time in his rookie year, and shot under 40% from the field for 3 of his first seasons in the NBA. But he has improved his efficiency dramatically, added a pull-up 3 to his game, and is just playing basketball with more control and poise than we've ever seen him do so. And his strong play this year is helping keep the Hornets afloat without Nicholas Batum, and they are 5-5. When Batum comes back, I fully expect this Hornets team to return to strengths and make the playoffs. With a reformed Dwight Howard in the middle and shooters surrounding him, as well as hopefully Michael Kidd-Gilchrist coming back, the Hornets have the capacity to be a strong team on both ends of the floor. When you throw in their rookies, Malik Monk and Dwayne Bacon, who are also surprising, and Jeremy Lamb as well, who is thriving without Nicholas Batum, this Hornets team has depth and the ability to make a strong run for the playoffs. I would absolutely love the Hornets to make the playoffs so that we can see Kemba Walker doing what he does best in the big time games. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future. And let me know in the comments below what you think of these 6 players and if you think there are any other guys in the NBA that are incredibly underrated.